Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you, bringing you a couple of key matchups for Saints-Panthers. Of course, 3:40 kickoff in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome on Sunday afternoon. Jeff, you're going to look at a key matchup as far as Saints defensively versus the Carolina offense. I'll go the other way around, Saints offense versus the Carolina defense. Jeff, what's your big key as far as what the Saints defense needs to do to slow down Carolina?
Well, I think anytime you play Carolina, the key is stopping Cam Newton. Cam Newton's former league MVP back in 2015, and he is an outlier at quarterback. He's like a defensive end, 6'6", 250, and has started running the ball a lot more lately in the regular season, frankly, out of necessity. They don't have a lot of offensive weapons on the perimeter. I think the Saints can control their passing game, but he becomes a factor in the running game. He didn't run much against the Saints earlier this season. 3 carries when the Saints beat them in Charlotte in Week 3. He's going to run the ball a lot more in this game. The Saints have to be aware of that. They've got to control him. And Cam Newton is so up and down, Larry. I mean, the guy played lights out. They beat New England at New England, and then he falls flat on his face a week later and ends up with a 30 passer rating. He had a 30 passer rating last week in Atlanta. So you just don't know what Cam Newton you're going to get. If the good Cam Newton shows up, the guy that won the MVP in 2015, the Saints will have their hands full. But if the bad Cam Newton shows up, like we saw in Week 3 when he threw 3 picks against the Saints, I think the Saints will have a cakewalk.
Yeah, as far as the Saints offensively, I think the biggest key for them that Carolina's going to have to deal with, I mean, it's not some stunner, it's Alvin Kamara. Look, after last game in the Dome, they prepared all they could for Alvin Kamara, and Ron Rivera said they had no answers for him. So I'm curious to see if they have any answers for him. We've seen him be super dynamic. I do feel like that teams have been able to kind of navigate him the last couple of weeks this season.
Yeah, game planning for him.
Yeah, game planning for him more. Of course, he can take a kickoff. We saw him do that in Tampa Bay. I anticipate they're still going to do that. They're going to use him as much as humanly possible. But I'm wondering how Luke Kuechly, how maybe Thomas Davis, maybe Shaq Thompson.
Shaq Thompson is a good matchup for them, but he's been able to still be productive despite those great linebackers.
Absolutely. So I think Carolina's going to try some different things. The Saints are going to have to prepare for that. So, look, you think it's Cam Newton is basically the X factor for Carolina offensively. I think Alvin Kamara is the X factor for the Saints on their offense. Should be an interesting and exciting playoff game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fascinating game to watch from an X's and O's standpoint because these teams are so familiar with each other. And because the Saints have had a history of success, I think Carolina and their staff are going to try to come up with something completely different to give their team a chance.
And all the star power we're talking about, there's a reason why they're the prime game on Sunday afternoon.
No doubt.
So for Larry Holder, for Jeff Duncan, thanks for joining us, and check out all of our coverage of all things Saints at NOLA.com and in our printed editions of the Times-Picayune.